It was a bitterly cold Monday morning in a small town in Ohio. Frost coated the windows, and the wind howled through the empty streets as early morning commuters shuffled into work and students filed into their schools. Among them was 11-year-old Malik, who walked with his head down, his shoulders hunched against the chill. Unlike the other kids, bundled in warm jackets and boots, Malik's coat was too thin, and his shoes, if they could still be called that, were falling apart at the seams. The once white sneakers were now grey and torn, with the soles flapping loosely beneath his feet. He tried to walk quickly through the school doors, avoiding the groups of students gathered inside the lobby, but a few noticed. A couple of 8th graders snickered. One of them whispered something to another, and they both laughed. Malik kept his head down and hurried to his locker. His socks were soaked from walking through snow, and his feet ached with cold. Tom, the school janitor, was mopping nearby. He had been at the school for over 20 years. A quiet man in his 60s with kind eyes, a grey mustache, and a calm presence. Tom was the kind of person students passed by every day without giving much thought, but he noticed everything. He saw the students who stayed late to avoid going home, the ones who came to school hungry, and those like Malik, trying their best to blend into the background. That morning, Tom noticed Malik limping slightly as he made his way down the hall. He leaned on his mop and called out gently, "You all right, son?" Malik looked up, startled. "Yeah, just slipped a little outside." Tom walked over, glanced down at the boy's feet and frowned. "Those shoes don't look like they're doing much good." "They're okay," Malik muttered. "I've had 'em a long time." Tom nodded, then without another word turned and disappeared down the hallway. Malik watched him go, unsure what to think. A few minutes later, Tom returned holding a box in his hands. He opened it and pulled out a pair of nearly new black sneakers, clean, durable, and warm. "These were my son's," Tom said quietly. "He passed away 5 years ago. I kept his shoes. I don't know why, just couldn't let go of them. But today, I think he'd want someone else to have them." Malik's eyes widened. "Are you sure?" Tom knelt down. "Absolutely, let's see if they fit." He helped Malik slip them on. They fit perfectly. Malik looked down at his feet, stunned. "These are amazing, thank you." Tom smiled, his eyes soft. "No one should have to walk in broken shoes, kid, especially not in this weather." What neither of them knew was that just above them, a security camera in the hallway had captured everything. The janitor, kneeling before a boy, offering shoes not out of pity, but out of quiet compassion and shared pain. Later that afternoon, the school's front office staff, reviewing routine surveillance footage, paused when they saw the clip. One of the secretaries, Mrs. Alvarez, wiped her eyes after watching. She immediately forwarded it to Principal Green with the subject line, "You need to see this." Principal Green was reviewing budget reports in her office when the video popped up. She nearly dismissed it until she noticed the subject line. She clicked, expecting another disciplinary clip or hallway scuffle. But what she saw made her lean back in her chair, hand covering her mouth. The janitor, the boy, the shoes. As the camera panned slightly to show Malik walking away with a faint smile on his face, something inside her shifted. She played the video again, and again, until tears blurred her vision. It wasn't just about shoes, it was about dignity, empathy, and the quiet power of noticing someone's silent struggle. What started as a single moment between a janitor and a student was about to become something much more. The next morning, Principal Green stood outside her office with a printed still image from the CCTV footage in her hand. She held the paper close to her chest as she walked through the hallway, her heels echoing softly against the tiled floor. When she found Tom in the cafeteria sweeping near the vending machines, she approached him slowly. "Tom," she said gently. He turned with a small smile. "Morning, Principal Green. Something need fixing." She shook her head, her voice softer than usual. "Actually, I came to thank you." He looked confused. "For what?" She handed him the photo. A screenshot of him kneeling in front of Malik, tying the laces of the gifted shoes. Tom looked down, startled. "You saw this?" "I did," she replied, "and so did the staff and the school board. It's making its way around." He cleared his throat and glanced away, a little embarrassed. "I didn't do it for attention. I know that. That's exactly why it matters." Word spread fast. That morning during the school assembly, Principal Green surprised the entire auditorium by telling them the story of what happened in the hallway. No names were mentioned, but everyone knew. Malik sat quietly in the third row, staring at the floor, cheeks flushed red. When Tom was called up to the stage and handed a small plaque of appreciation from the staff, the entire student body gave him a standing ovation. Tom stood there, awkward in the spotlight, holding the plaque like it weighed 100 pounds. He finally leaned into the mic and said simply, "Sometimes we think we're here to fix buildings or clean messes, but sometimes what needs fixing ain't the floor." After the assembly, students who had barely noticed Tom before now waved to him in the hall. Some even stopped to thank him. Teachers nodded at him with new respect. But the most unexpected moment came that afternoon, when Malik's mother arrived at the school. She was tall, with tired eyes and a soft smile, wearing a waitress uniform from the local diner. She asked for Tom, and when he came out from the back office, her eyes filled with tears. "I just wanted to say thank you," she said, holding out her hand. Tom shook it, a bit flustered. "It was nothing, ma'am." "No," she said firmly. "It was everything. My son hasn't smiled like that in months. You didn't just give him shoes. You gave him dignity." Tom blinked, humbled. That night something remarkable happened. A local teacher posted about the story on social media, just a short caption and a photo of the hallway CCTV still. The post went viral. Within 48 hours, news crews were calling the school. One of the largest morning news shows invited Tom and Malik to appear for a segment about everyday heroes. Donations began flooding into the school for students in need. Winter coats, new shoes, backpacks, and supplies. One anonymous donor pledged to cover school lunches for every student in need for the rest of the year. Malik was overwhelmed. For the first time in his life, he felt seen, not for what he lacked, but for who he was. And Tom, who had quietly swept hallways and repaired lockers for decades, became a symbol of how a small act of kindness can ripple out to change a community. But Tom never let it get to his head. When asked in interviews how it felt to be a hero, he would shrug and say, "Heroes are just folks who don't walk past what they can fix." By the end of that school year, the district created a scholarship fund in Tom's name. Not for grades, but for students who showed character, compassion, and grit. Malik was the first recipient. Years later, long after Tom had retired, Malik stood on a stage at his college graduation and told the story again. About a janitor, a pair of shoes, and the moment that taught him the true meaning of humanity. And somewhere in a quiet house just outside town, Tom sat in his armchair, holding that same old plaque and smiling softly, knowing that sometimes it's the smallest acts that echo the loudest.